In the past, I've made videos looking at the 7 best footballers from countries ranked outside of FIFA's top 100 and the 7 best footballers from countries of fewer than 1 million inhabitants. Both were fun to make and both seemed to get pretty good responses from all of you wonderful people, so I thought why not explore a similar avenue today. Rather than a 7, today's video is an 11, and if I start doing any more 11s, I should probably rename this channel HITC Sevens and 11s, as some of you have suggested, which does have a certain ring to it. I'm going to try to put together a World 11 featuring only players who represent national teams outside of the top 50 in the FIFA World Rankings. As I always have to reiterate with these videos, this is based on the FIFA World Rankings. I'm not saying that your national team is rubbish, FIFA is, and I'm sorry to say that it is based on your nation's results. I won't name every country that is in FIFA's top 50 right now, but it does include the likes of Algeria, Costa Rica and Scotland, so there'll be no Riyad Mahrez, Keylor Navas or Andy Robertson, just to give you an idea. If you are outraged they haven't included someone, it's probably worth checking that they're not from a nation currently ranked inside the top 50 of FIFA's World Rankings, just as a heads up. Okay, long, tedious preamble out of the way, here is my view on the best 11 from countries ranked outside of FIFA's top 50. Goalkeeper, Jan Oblak. Jan Oblak is a godsend for any video like this, although his inclusion teeters on the tedious itself given how frequently he crops up. I think Oblak is probably the best goalkeeper in the world in terms of consistency and sheer shot-stopping prowess, and for a video like this, where the likes of Manuel Neuer, Marc-Andre ter Stegen and Alisson are obviously ineligible, he is an incredibly easy option. Oblak is Slovenian, and he has been capped 28 times by Slovenia, and the fact that his first cap came in 2012 tells you that he has never played in a World Cup or European Championships. Slovenia are ranked 64th in the world right now in the FIFA World Rankings, so they are safely outside of the world's top 50. Right back, El Said Husai. The name El Said Husai reminds me of when I told people that Albania could be dark horses going into Euro 2016, not to win it, but just to surprise a few people, with one of the main reasons being El Said Husai and the fine form that he'd shown that season for Napoli. I even wrote an article saying as much, so naturally, Albania went out in the group stages in France, but they did put in a decent showing in a tough group, and even held France for 90 minutes. Anyhow, my rubbish predictions aside, Albania haven't had a great time of things since 2016, failing to qualify for the 2018 World Cup or Euro 2020, and even losing 4-0 to Scotland. When you're losing 4-0 to Scotland, you know things are bad, and that's reflected in Albania's spot in 65th place in the FIFA World Rankings, one spot behind Slovenia. Nevertheless, El Said Husai is still a really good fullback with exceptional stamina, and the Napoli man is a great inclusion at right back. Centre-back, Kostas Manolas. How the mighty fall. From unexpected European Championship winners in 2004 to being ranked below the likes of Norway and Iceland in 2020, it has been quite the decline for the Greece national team in recent times. In fairness, Greece had 3 good results at the end of Euro 2020 qualifying, but it was too little too late, and defeats to the likes of Armenia and Estonia, and even a draw with Liechtenstein in recent times, sees them down in 54th in FIFA's World Rankings. There are still a handful of Greek footballers of international class, however, and there are none finer than Kostas Manolas. Making it an all-Neapolitan affair in defence so far, Manolas joined Napoli from fellow Serie A side Roma in 2019. The 29-year-old is about as far from a ball-playing centre-back as you can get, but he's strong, aggressive, and he reads the game well, so he takes up a starting berth alongside his teammate El Said Husai. Centre-back, Emerick. Whilst Manolas was my first choice centre-back, it was a really tough shout with regards to who to pick alongside him, and I'll be naming a substitutes bench and some honourable mentions later on. Given what I said about Manolas and his ability on the ball though, it made sense to me to have at least a slightly more gifted centre-back partner for the Greek international. My choice, in the end, is Manchester United defender Emerick. Ivory Coast are only the 12th highest ranked African nation by FIFA's rankings, coming in 61st place overall. That makes them a real pool of talent for the purposes of this 11, and the first Ivorian inclusion is Emerick at centre-back. You may recall that Bai made an excellent start to life at Manchester United, and I have long suspected that he'd be a regular fixture and have continued to impress were it not for his early injury setback. Nonetheless, he's still only 26 and he could still become a really important player for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer unless they choose to send him out on loan next season, as has been reported. Left back, Alfonzo Davis. One of the most straightforward decisions in this entire 11, despite having never played there before, Alfonzo Davis has been one of the best left-backs in Europe this season. The 19-year-old has looked like a formidable fullback in Bavaria, and the addition of Leroy Sané to Bayern's already extensive number of options in wide areas only strengthens my belief that Davies may well find a permanent home for himself in the left-back position. Remarkably quick and really well disciplined for a man totally new to playing as a fullback, Davies was born in Ghana to Liberian parents, and his family moved to Canada when he was only 5 years old. Whether Davies had chosen to represent Ghana, Liberia or Canada, he would have been eligible to play in this 11, since all three are ranked outside of the top 50 in FIFA's world rankings. The teenager understandably picked Canada, who are ranked 73rd in the world rankings right now. Central midfield. Geoffrey Kondogbia. The only player in this 11 who has played for a national team currently inside FIFA's top 50, and inside FIFA's current top 2 in fact, Geoffrey Kondogbia, won 5 caps for France between 2013 and 2015. Without a cap in 3 years though, and with all his senior France appearances having come in non-competitive fixtures, the Valencia midfielder switched his international allegiance to the Central African Republic in 2018. That means Kondogbia represents the worst national team in this entire 11 according to FIFA's world rankings, which place the Central African Republic in position number 109, one place behind India. Kondogbia is obviously the Central African Republic's best player, and he's among the best box-to-box midfielders in La Liga. A terrific athlete who is equally proficient in and out of possession, Kondogbia is the first man in my midfield. Central midfield. Naby Keita. There is certainly no lack of energy or athleticism in the centre of our midfield, where Naby Keita partners Geoffrey Kondogbia. Keita represents and captains the African nation of Guinea, and he has been their star man since around the age of 19. Guinea have never qualified for a World Cup, they've never won the African Cup of Nations, and the country is ranked 74th in the FIFA World Rankings right now. Keita made his name in Europe with the two big Red Bull-owned clubs, RB Salzburg and RB Leipzig, before becoming Liverpool's third most expensive signing of all time. Keita eventually set the Reds back £52.75 million, and unlike their other marquee signings, Alison Becker and Virgil van Dijk, he hasn't become one of the first names on Jurgen Klopp's team sheet. Nevertheless, he played 33 times as Liverpool won the Champions League last season, and he has played 21 times as the Reds won the Premier League this season, and I think he's a much-deserved starter in this 11. Right wing. Nicolas Pepe. I said that Ivory Coast would be fertile ground for this 11, and the Elephants become the second nation with 2 players in this 11 on the right wing. Nicolas Pepe is the Ivory Coast star man these days, having lit up Ligue 1 with Lille, and he is now starting to do the same with Arsenal in the Premier League. Pepe became the Gunners' record signing last summer in a move worth a reported £72 million, and following a little bit of time adjusting to life in the Premier League, he has looked really dangerous in the second half of the season. The 25-year-old has searing pace, the quick feet to match, and he loves to cut inside on the right flank onto his stronger left foot. Although he was born in France, Pepe began representing Ivory Coast in 2016, and he has since scored 5 goals from 20 caps at international level. Attacking midfield. Josip Ilicic. As mentioned in my recent What If Reunified Yugoslavia video, Josip Ilicic was born in modern-day Bosnia, then Yugoslavia. His mother moved to Slovenia when he was 1 year old following the death of his father, and he was also eligible to represent Croatia. Ilicic chose to represent Slovenia, where he was raised and spent his formative years, and he has since won 65 caps for the national team. Always a talent, but particularly productive for Atalanta over the last couple of seasons, Ilicic has, statistically speaking, by a number of different criteria, been the best player in Italy this season. He's bagged 21 goals in 31 games this season, playing primarily as a second striker, and 2019 was also his most productive season on the international stage, as he bagged 4 goals from 10 games for Slovenia. As mentioned, Slovenia are ranked 64th in FIFA's world rankings, and Ilicic's inclusion makes them the second nation with 2 players in this 11. Left wing. Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah is of course primarily a right winger, and it is on the right that he is most comfortable. Unfortunately, I needed to accommodate both Pepe and Salah, and whilst Pepe has virtually no experience playing out wide on the left, Salah is much more versatile and has played out wide on the left with success in the past. Arguably the best player in this 11, although I'd suggest that's a tight call between 3 different players featured, Salah has won 2 Premier League Golden Boots in 2 seasons since returning to English football in 2017, and whilst he's unlikely to make it 3 from 3 this season, he is still Liverpool's top scorer as the Reds cruise to a first Premier League title in 30 years. Salah is a remarkable player who is, if anything, still somewhat underrated. His movement and intelligence off the ball is up there with the best of them. He has incredible acceleration, and he is so productive in the final third. Salah has won 67 caps and has scored 41 goals for Egypt at the age of 28, and he is in with a chance of becoming the all-time record scorer for the nation currently in 51st place in the FIFA World Rankings. Centre forward, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. When I said the best player in this 11 was a toss-up between three players, the three I was referring to were Jan Oblak, Mohamed Salah, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Aubameyang represents, captains, and is the all-time record goalscorer for the Gabon national team, with whom he has won 63 caps and scored 25 goals. That's actually less prolific than Aubameyang has been at club level, with that perhaps being a reflection of the quality of his club versus his international teammates, where Aubameyang has been one of the most prolific marksmen in Europe over the last 8 or 9 years. Aubameyang's combination of lightning pace, brilliant movement, and sharp finishing saw him score 141 goals in 213 games for Borussia Dortmund, and he has netted 63 times from just 101 outings for Arsenal. Having won a joint Premier League Golden Boot in his first full season in the Premier League, Aubameyang is tied at the top of the scoring charts once again this season, or at least he is at the time of this recording, and given that Gabon are in 83rd place in the FIFA World Rankings, Aubameyang is a safe bet for a spot in this 11. That is it for my 11, but there's still plenty of quality lurking on the bench as well. As our number 2, we have Jan Oblak's compatriot Samir Handanovic, Montenegro and Atletico Madrid centre-back Stefan Savic, who would have started had I not wanted to avoid having two cloggers at centre-back, Ivorian AC Milan midfielder Frank Kessie, Armenia legend Henrik Mkhitaryan, another Ivorian in the form of Wilfried Zaha, Israel's sharp-eyed Chinese Super League star Aaron Zahavi, and finally Real Madrid's impact option and once-capped Dominican Republic star Mariano Diaz. In charge of the 11, because why not, I'm going for a man who was born in Ashgabat, the unusual capital city of Turkmenistan, whilst it was part of the Soviet Union. Kurban Berdiev may have been born in a nation with little footballing pedigree, but he went on to play in Russia and Uzbekistan, before launching a successful managerial career. Now aged 67 and unemployed, Berdiev is best known for the 12 years which he spent managing Rubin Kazan, where he led the club to consecutive Russian Premier League titles. Numerous very talented footballers missed out, more than I could ever possibly mention, but nonetheless, honourable mentions do go to the likes of Andre Onana, Serge Aurier, Socrates Papastathopoulos, Jenny Dakonam, Joel Matip, Kevin Campbell, Amadou Diawara, Thomas Thrakosha, Chris Wood, and obviously the Indian king, Sunil Chhetri, still banging goals for Bengaluru and the Indian national team, even at the grand old age of 35. So that's it for today's video. Thank you as ever for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and please do subscribe to HITC Sevens.